Hello, my name's Gavin. This is Genre Books. It's Tuesday, it's Tag Tuesday, and this is the Used Bookstore Tag. I was tagged by Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, and this is her original tag. It has 11 prompts. I have them written down, so let's start. Prompt number 1. What's your favourite or most often visited used bookstore, and what makes it special? I can't limit this to one answer. Mostly because I don't have one bookstore that I will go to. Annoyingly, there is no used bookstore in my town. There's a couple of charity shops that have a couple of shelves. Rarely do I find something there. But there are places not too far away which are great to visit for bookstores, and the ones I'll choose are probably from there. There's the Oxfam bookshop in Canterbury, which has a lot of stuff, but I think I find my best science fiction finds there. There is the Fleur de Lis bookstore in Faversham, which is another charity bookshop. That just seems to have a very varied and interesting selection of books, and it's just a very nice space. My favourite is probably not one bookshop. It's Hay on Wye. I'm going to class it as just one big bookshop. It's just got streets. It's a mecca for bookshops. I don't go nearly as often as I'd like, but probably for the sake of my groaning bookshelves and my wallet, it's good that I don't. Prompt number 2. Does your used bookstore take credit? If so, how much credit do you get for your books, or do they give you cash for your books? Well, the first 2 bookstores I mentioned, I'm going to interchange between bookstores and bookshops. I mean bookshops. I'll say bookstores to keep in line with the tag. I will try to. Most of these places, certainly the 2 I've mentioned, are charity shops. And if I turn up with a bag of books I want to trade in, they will take that bag and say, well, thank you very much. There is only one bookshop I can think of in a 20-mile radius where they do take books in for cash. I haven't seen credit offered, and even in that shop they're very particular about what they take. And say I've seen other people take stuff in, and the lady on the counter has said, well, I can take these books and pay you some money for those. These rest of the books that you bought in, I've already got too much in the way of that in stock at the moment. I'll take them as a favour to you. It's probably not the best option to sell books back to a bookshop in this country. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've not found the right one. I'll be happy to learn otherwise. But also, I don't like parting with books. When I do, I usually sell them on eBay, or just gift them straight to a charity shop. Prompt number 3. How often do you go to your used bookstore, and can you share how much credit you have there? The second part of that is very easy. None. For the first part, how often do I go? I probably go to, if I'm taking perhaps the Oxfam in Canterbury, 4 or 5 times a year. My wife, when visiting Canterbury, she goes a bit more often than I do, will stop by herself and takes pictures of the science fiction bookshelf and asks me if there's anything that I want. So I have a personal shopper at Canterbury every now and again. I have been from the beginning of this month on the Read What You Own challenge. So any answer I give about how often I visit bookstores is wrong for the foreseeable future and quite painful to talk about. Prompt number 4. What, if any, restrictions does your used bookstore have on how you can use your credit? Now, the more I think about it, I think this bookstore credit may just be a transatlantic difference. I'm sure it exists in this country. I know it exists in this country, in certain bookshops, but it's just not something that is often used. This is like doggy bags. If you ask in a UK restaurant for the rest of the meal to be put in a little box or bag for you to take home and have later, they'll do it for you, probably. But I can't think of anywhere that does it habitually. And I think we've done it maybe once. In the US, it just seemed to happen all the time. However, back to books. Kelly, you described the rules for credit at your local bookstore. They seem Byzantine, and I have a sneaking suspicion they don't want to give you credit. You can have half of 1/4 of one value of credit to spend on every third book on alternate Tuesdays, but not on poetry. It was something like that. It was very complicated, and all of these rules seem to be out of the window if Dave's on the counter, because he doesn't seem to understand the rules. Prompt number 5. How is your used bookstore organised? What do you like or dislike about how it's organised? Again, let's give some different examples. There is in Faversham another bookshop that I like. I would like so much better if the organisation was there. My wife now refuses to go into the place. It's absolutely crammed. Now, I know where the science fiction is, and the fantasy, and the horror. It's difficult to tell where one section begins and one ends, and there is vaguely an alphabetical structure there as well. However, the shelves are rather like these shelves. This means I have to take books off the shelf to get to the books behind to see what's there. I'm trying to open one book with another pile of the books from the shelf in front in my hand to see what the price is. There are also piles of books on the floor in front of the shelf, so I can't put the books down to do anything with them. I try to maybe put the books on another shelf whilst I look at the stuff that's on the shelf behind the shelf, but those books may topple down and then I'm in trouble. There's also no room to turn round because the next set of shelves are close behind me. If you're carrying a bag, you have to put that on the floor somewhere else. And God help you if someone else comes into the shop and wants to look at the science fiction as well. I love the shop, but I hate that. I sort of get credit there in a way, I suppose. If I come away with an armful of books from that place, and the they're cheap. They're £2-3 each, and that bill comes to, 37-38 pounds. I'll get them for 35. The last one is, oh well, you can have that one. So yeah, I'll take that as credit. That's fine. The rest of the bookshop, I've only been into once because I've never got past that whole science fiction and fantasy block, or able to sort of comprehend its layout. I've been round a little bit to the rest of the shop, and I've got a couple of books there. The rest of the shop is very much the same, and I can't even figure out what some of the categories are. There is far too much stock there. This is a good thing and a bad thing. Far too much stock? No, I'm just going to say the shop isn't big enough. So yes, that's something. A lovely shop I dislike. Let's go from that to the other extreme, the Hay Cinema bookshop. This place is massive. This is one of the few bookshops in the UK which I think can compete with some of the stuff I've seen on American bookshop trip videos. Not only is it laid out very nicely, not only is there space between the shelves, but it is so organised. It has a map. There are maps dotted throughout the shop that show you where you are. There is a leaflet you can get at the front desk as you go in, which is going to show you where things are. Because there are multiple floors, the space is huge, the selection of books is mind-boggling. The only thing that shop is missing is shopping trolleys or shopping carts. But that'd be difficult on the stairs. But yeah, my only trouble with that is I will come away with too many books and struggle to carry them around. Prompt number 6. What is the best find or deal you got at a used bookstore? I think possibly the best one I got, I did not realise I got at the time. Years ago, you could get bargains at bookstores. Increasingly, these shops know exactly what they've got. They're able to source prices, market values, a lot easier than you could in years past. Consequently, there are not many bargains to be had. Now there's an upside to this. I have access to the same information, and as a buyer, I know when I'm looking at a book that I can check the price and see whether I'm being given a fair price for a book. And in a few bookshops, I've put stuff back because I feel it overpriced for what it is. But I got lucky on this occasion. This is the charity shelf at the local supermarket. And when I'm not on a read what you own challenge, after doing the shopping, I will stop by that shelf and have a look. I've never got loads of books from there. Most of them are not my thing, but occasionally I find something that does interest me. Brilliant. You put 50p, you put £1 in the jar, depending on how many books you've got, and there you go. I think this book I paid 50p for, because I got 2 books, put £1 in. It's Dune by the National Lampoon. I did a video on comedy books a little while ago where I talked about this book. It's not the best book in the world, and it's probably something I'll sell on, but it was in really good condition. It's not on my shelves at the moment because I've read it, it goes off the shelf. Good condition. And I was looking at it later and I thought it is the cover is so reminiscent of the original Dune paperback, or one of the original Dune paperback covers, the Bruce Pennington one. I then found out that Bruce Pennington had done the cover for the parody book as well, which made me smile more than some of the jokes in the book, if I'm honest. So it cost me 50p. I could probably get 20 times that, which, admittedly isn't a huge amount of money, but certainly a decent return. It's whether I want to part with it. Prompt number 7. Is there something you saw at your used bookstore and you regret not purchasing it? Yes and no. I'm recording this on the 23rd of November. Alright, it's not coming out for a few days yet, but on the day that I record this, it is the 61st birthday of Doctor Who. Now, I was at a book fair in Faversham last year, in a hall just down the road from the Fleur de Lis bookshop that I've already mentioned, and the bookshop I went to straight after the book fair as well. Someone had there a Doctor Who book, not just any Doctor Who book, the original Doctor Who paperback, the first paperback that came out. So this is before the Target novelizations. This is Doctor Who and the Daleks by David Whittaker. I really wanted that book. I don't collect Doctor Who paperbacks. I think I may have a couple, but one rabbit hole I don't want to fall down. But I absolutely would have bought that book had they not been charging £100 for a paperback. I don't think it was worth that money. And I don't even think I would have been prepared to pay £70 or £80, so I didn't even bother haggling, because that's probably the most I would have managed to get, if that. But I still do think sometimes about that book and how I would like to have it. And it is usually just a price that will make me put something back. I had another experience in Hay-on-Wye in Addyman's. They had some pulp magazines that hadn't even gone onto the shelves yet, and I saw they had some original Weird Tales, I think from the 1940s. Again, these were like £50-60 each, so I couldn't, especially given how many other books I was buying in Hay-on-Wye at the time, I couldn't justify spending that amount of money on a pulp magazine. But I also knew that it was a little bit overpriced. But there is the dilemma for the British buyer of American pop culture or genre stuff. It's available in this country at a premium. It's available much more cheaply in the States, but they'll kill you on the postage, and probably these days kill you on some sort of spurious import charge, because 80-90-year-old magazines are definitely the grease that keeps the wheels of the economy going. So do I regret not having them? Yes. Do I regret not buying them? Sometimes. But I also think I'm probably justified in not buying them. However, happily, look, these books are not great, expensive commodities. I am more likely to be able to pick something up for £1 or £2. So I will usually give way to the temptation. I won't have the regret of having left something behind on the shelf for £2. I may, in time, come to regret buying it. I was in conversation in the comments on one of my videos with someone when I sort of self-diagnosed myself, not so much as a mood reader, as a mood buyer. So I'm usually a bit flighty, a flibberty-gibbet, a magpie when I'm let loose in a bookstore. If I see something and it piques my interest and it's not overly expensive, chances are I'll have it. And I'll deal with the consequences later. It's usually trying to find space for it, trying to decide whether I did actually want it as much as I knew I did at that moment. This is why the Read What You Own challenge might be a good purgative for a brief while. But this does lead into the next prompt, which is number 8. Is there a book you're always on the hunt for at your used bookstore? Yes, there is. There is, and I've spoken about them plenty of times on this channel before. There are the Ballantine adult fantasies. If I see one of these, it's in decent enough condition, and I don't have it, I will be getting it. However, if I were just to go out with the express intention of looking for these books, I am 99 times out of 100 going to be disappointed. If I go out looking for a particular book at a used bookshop, certainly a charity shop in the UK, you are likely to be disappointed. Much better to browse and see what is provided to you. I think this is probably covered in Steve Donahue's Brattle Mantras. Prompt number 9. If you could run your used bookstore for a day, what changes would you make? I probably wouldn't make any sweeping changes. In some bookshops, I would definitely make some organisational changes. But I think what I would do is I would wait until 10 minutes to 5 on that day, so 10 minutes before closing. And the change I would make is I would go around to all the books that I wanted and change the price to 10 pence a book. And then I'll come back at 9 o'clock the following morning. Prompt number 10. If you could go used book shopping with any booktuber in any city, who would you go with and why? I can't give one answer to this. And the first answer I would give is I would love to have a big old get together at Hay on Wye with all the booktubers that I watch. I think everybody will get something out of Hay on Wye, and I'd be quite happy to show them where they might find stuff. The Hay Cinema bookshop. Okay, well, there's the map. You can knock yourself out, but I know the people that like their beautiful editions. They need to go up to the little place on the top floor at the front where they keep the nice antiquarian absolutely pristine books. There's Murder and Mayhem opposite Addyman's. For all the science fiction people, there's Addyman's. There's also the Hayes Bookshop, Hayes Cinema Bookshop. There's also the basement of the Richard Booth's bookshop, absolutely full of not only science fiction, but also some westerns, which is what we're really missing in UK bookshops, and which should form the second part of my answer to this question. I would love to go around some of these massive warehouses that I see on occasional videos in the States with my favourite stateside booktubers. There do seem to be places that I see people visit, and they have these Goodwills where at 2 o'clock every day they'll wheel out plastic bins the size of swimming pools, and you can dip your arm in and haul out 50 westerns, more westerns than you'll see in 5 bookshops in the UK at one go. I would love to go around some of these places, scour those shelves, clear those shelves, parcel everything off to myself, and become a importer of American paperback literature to this country. Failing that, maybe I'd go like to visit Kelly's local bookshop with her, because all the drama that she describes as happening there sounds frankly hilarious, and I'd like to see it at first hand. I'd also have to do something. She mentioned that they'd rearranged some shelves by colour. It's just, if nothing else, I could spend the afternoon just sorting that out. Prompt number 11, tag others. I will do below, because this was a fun tag to do. Thank you, Kelly, for tagging me. Possibly less thanks for making me talk about bookshops at a time where I am sworn off visiting them. But absence will make the heart grow fonder. Until next time.